Until men are willing to confront how they uphold patriarchy in their life, nothing will change. That is the big takeaway from the Disney Channel original movie, Eddie's $1 Million Cookoff. Okay, this movie was released in 2003, and in case you didn't know, this happens to be High School Musical's older sister. Do not stick to the status quo. Eddie's $1 Million Cookoff follows Eddie Ogden, star player of his baseball team. When Eddie discovers his new passion for cooking, he is met with nothing but disdain from his friends and his father. Eddie enters and gets into the $1 Million Cookoff. When he learns that the cook-off and the biggest game of the season are happening at the same time, he must make a big decision: baseball or cooking. Now, today's video is specifically covering how men uphold the patriarchy because that is the theme of this film. Now, whilst I enjoyed the movie, I did have to pause it multiple times just to stop and yell at my TV because this movie fucking angered me. Eddie, get behind me right now. Get behind me. Okay, because this is not a safe space. This is not a safe space. And I just want to add the nuance for those people who can't add it. Yes, everyone upholds patriarchy. Everybody needs to deconstruct that. But this movie specifically is about the men upholding the patriarchy. Okay, because generally the women close to Eddie were actually pretty cool with him with this cooking thing in a way that the men weren't, which isn't unsurprising. It's just we'll get to the level that like really just was like, wait, are we serious right now? Like, maybe I forgot because obviously I was very young in the early 2000s, and this movie was 2003, mind you. But like, the dramatics of this movie were like, come on, guys. Like, patriarchy is a prison at the end of the day. It's a prison in your mind. And if anything shows that, it's this movie. Let's get into it. Now, Eddie is coined the star player of his baseball team, okay? And this is why I say it's High School Musical's older sister, because guess who his dad is? The coach, okay? And is the father, like Troy Bolton, also projecting a future career onto his son? Absolutely. The difference between Eddie and Troy Bolton is, I mean, Troy, actually, guys, I've never really sat and thought about how old the High School Musical kid. Actually, they were probably about the same. What the heck? Am I just now realizing Eddie and Troy are technically like the same age? 14, 15? But Eddie was specifically 14 in this, and he's a baseball player, right? And his dad is really like, he could be a star one day. And the mom's like, Aubrey, that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. Like, mind you, he's 14. Finally, someone's fucking saying it. But you know what? Now that I think about it, Troy, when did that start? Were they in freshman year? No, they were in sophomore year, weren't they? If anyone has done the High School Musical math, please let a girl know. So before we get into Eddie is being bullied and patriarchy is a prison, okay? Which patriarchy is a prison, and this will also be another example of it. We need to start with how did we get here, okay? Eddie has been watching the cooking channel, specifically Bobby Flay. Who knows Bobby Flay? And we'll eventually get some inspiration, but we have to set the scene, okay? And I do have a rant before we get into the Eddie of it all. So the mother is making dinner. She cuts her finger as she's cutting the food, okay? She is calmly being like, hey, just cut my finger. I'm definitely gonna need stitches and we need to go to the hospital. What does the dad do? He goes, let me see, let me see, let me see. The mom goes, well, you're not good with blood. And he goes, let me see, let me see. He looks at it, okay, and then he proceeds to fall back like he's gonna faint. Okay, and the older brothers have to catch him. Then we flash to the older brothers are gonna take the parents to the hospital. One of the older brothers gets the car. One of the older brothers is carrying the dad to the car because he can't seem to stop fainting, which you're not even looking at the cut anymore. So why are you still fainting? Like, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And the mom comes out calm and has got, her finger covered. Mind you, her finger sliced open. She's gonna need stitches. And is like, Eddie, make sure to put the groceries away. She gets in the passenger seat, okay, and she's like, breathe, breathe to her husband, who I can't fucking deal with blood, even though he's not looking at it right now. Like, I get initially fainting at the sight, but like, continually like grossed up. Listen, whilst I say I'm not here to judge, today I am here to judge, okay, because what is wrong with this scene, okay, and this is gonna be the one non men are upholding patriarchy to other men's scene, right? This is going to be men are upholding patriarchy everywhere in their life. And whilst I said this movie is specifically men are against men at the end of the day, right? This is men are against women moment. Okay, because we need to really look at the scene. And I read the book Emotional Labor by Rose Hackman. Okay? And after I read that, I rethought this scene and I went, "Oh my god. Now what's happening here? A mother who cut her finger, right? Needs to go to the hospital. Is telling her husband she needs to go to the hospital to get stitches. He knows he cannot handle blood. Why is he looking at it? Why is he insisting? It's like, girl, I need stitches. Get me to the fucking hospital. Let's go. Okay? How that scene should have gone and why I'm upset. The scene should have been, okay, I cut my finger. I need stitches. Get me to the fucking hospital. He said, okay, come on, boys. Here's $20 for pizza tonight since we're not going to be here. Put the groceries away. All right. And mom, you come with me. We're driving to the hospital. Okay? And this isn't even about I'm expecting a man to just magically take charge. I'm talking about as a equitable partner. Okay? And you know you can't handle blood. Why are you looking at the blood? Because you know you're going to faint. But you have to be the man. You have to be the man. And you got to look at, no, let me look. Let me look. You can't do anything. She needs stitches. I feel like she said that. I feel like she said that. So, what we needed from him in that moment was to be a supportive partner to his partner who just got her finger sliced open. Okay, that is what we're looking for here. That is the goal here. Instead, the scene became about him. And guess what? How do women do the emotional labor during emergency situations? To be an equitable partner in that situation, what did that look like? Okay? It's okay. You can't handle blood well. That doesn't say anything about you. Okay? You don't need to be the macho man. Okay? You also are not a nurse, which, by the way, later in the fucking series, he makes a comment about male nurses. And we'll get to that later. But there's nothing you can do. But what you can do for your partner right now is actually just get her to the fucking hospital so she can get stitched up. Right? And the mom in that moment is doing the emotional labor of keeping the situation calm. She was calm when it started. She was calm as she was leaving and saying, hey, by the way, Eddie, you got to put those groceries away, right? Because I cut my finger and I'm obviously not going to be back for a while because I'm going to the hospital. All right. And also calming down the man who's just fainting from the sight of blood. All right. Who should the attention be on? Maybe the woman who got her finger sliced open. Okay. And that's the thing of the patriarchy. We're going to talk about emotional labor. Okay. And in this case, it was how women do the emotional labor for the men in their families. And here's the thing, the point is not it's a between a man and a woman, right? It's talking about how throughout history, we just have so many examples of men doing this to women, right? And some of the most fucking horrible ones are, guys, I saw a TikTok and this woman is giving birth, mind you. Okay? How many times have you heard the men who are like, oh, I'm uncomfortable. Oh, I have to sleep on this chair. I have to. Your wife has a fucking baby in her that she has been cooking for 9 months and she has to push it out. You should be grateful. And guess what? This day isn't about you. Do you know what labor's like? And you're complaining? But anyway, this TikTok I'm referencing, the man brought an Xbox to labor, brought an Xbox to the hospital. Oh, I'm sorry. Your baby child is about to be born. You brought an Xbox? Oh, I'm going to be born. You said you wanted to have a child. Guess what? You probably didn't think about the fact that being there for your partner when they are about to push out a big ass baby is probably one of them. Okay? Because labor, no matter how you give birth, is a big fucking thing. And it's fucking painful. And it's a fucking law. No matter which way you cut it. The fact that we have people doing this who just don't give a fuck, I can't. I can't. I can't. And I just hear so many bad stories like that when it's like what we really need are equitable partners to step up in times of need, right? We take turns doing that for each other. Like that's actually part of life. And it's like, y'all, like this is layered. And I have to bring this up other than the fact it happened in the movie because it is necessary to realize why was he so annoyed that she brought up, oh, you're not good with blood, right? Because he has to see himself as the man. And at the end of the day in that scene, the mom said, if I was the man, I'd be the man. And this really lays the groundwork for the rest of the movie. And we need to understand that to understand the dad, right? What are ways that when your masculinity, right? Men have been socialized under patriarchy, what this masculinity looks like, right? And if they don't fit that mold, they are insecure and they act out in these ways that are unhelpful to both them and obviously can be destructive to other people. And that is really what we're going to be learning in this movie. So when the mom said, Eddie just put away the groceries, do you think that's what he did? No, he didn't. Because he said, you know what, guys? What if I cooked us dinner? Now, the reactions from his friends were like, no. Cook? Cook? And can I just say one thing? Let me just say one thing about Eddie Ogden. Let him cook. Let him cook. For the love of God, guys. The way, and this is why I say it feels like a different dimension watching this movie, and why I had to pause it so many times because I was angry, is because the level of misogyny, the level of patriarchy in this movie is truly like, you're looking around, you're like, oh my God, it's really been like this for some people, huh? Like, it really has, and that's really concerning. But like the way we are treating cooking, like it's like, oh my God, you want to cook? Why would you do that? Why would you do? You're a boy. Why would you cook? Relax. Bobby Flay's a cook, but the dad does not value, and we'll get to that later, men in women-led fields. Wonder why that is, but we're not there yet. So Eddie convinces his friends to kind of be his assistant chefs as he's taking over the dinner meal for tonight. So last time I talked about this on TikTok, there were a lot of people talking about Eddie really wasted the groceries. And like, whilst there is a truth to that in the way that the mom had a plan and now that plan, that meal plan for the week is definitely foiled, and I understand that. And I'm hearing you on that. I have to say that when the parents come back, right, we have mom, dad, we have two brothers, we have Eddie, and we have the two besties. So they were actually making dinner for a lot of people. So just for reference, I just feel like it evened out somewhere. Now I don't know about the ingredients, but I just want to say that for Eddie's defense because I was hearing that a lot in the comments, and I'm just like, I just want to say he was making a meal for a lot of people, and they also cleaned that plate. They also cleaned that plate. Now here's the thing, like I was saying, let a boy cook. Like, what is the fucking problem? What is the fucking problem? The mom gets home, everything's all right. The dad makes a weird comment because the brothers say, yeah, dad fainted X amount of times. And the dad goes, men don't faint, they pass out. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? We really had to lay the groundwork for that scene to understand the dad. We really did. Because now you can't say faint. Because why? Because it's girly. And the worst thing you can be as a man is a girl, right? Under patriarchy, you can't even say faint. You have to say pass out to make yourself feel better. This is why patriarchy is a prison. It's a prison. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Who are you doing this for? Because the big thing about men is they're usually upholding patriarchy, obviously because it benefits them, right? Even though we see the harm that it does to everyone, right? They still very much so benefit from it. So even if they don't realize that they're hurting from it, they are, but it's just not enough for them to change, right? And that's the fucking issue, right? Because if we never actually do anything to make a change because of the status quo, back to High School Musical, right? What's the status quo under patriarchy and how does that affect everything? And we're going to come back to that later. But I just wanted to mention that because, hello, once again, another fucking comment from the dad. Because he can't look too girly, he has to look cool. Passing out, cool. Fainting, girly. Now back to Eddie's dish. The reaction they had to Eddie cooking. Now, obviously, a surprise nonetheless, because we're like, Eddie has never cooked for us before, right? So there's that. There's that. But also the fact they were so fucking mean to him for fucking cooking, period. But first, I just want to say, for all the comments that they fucking made during the dinner scene, which I will get into, what did he make? So Eddie made a mashed potato volcano, right? With gravy coming out of it, right? Had some vegetables on there, had chicken wings, which I do believe he like dipped. He didn't have breadcrumbs, so he dipped in cereal, which was like giving Fruity Pebbles. Don't know if that was a cereal or not. Which interesting substitution, right? But the way that everybody at that dinner table literally was giving him fucking shit for being a boy cooking, and that's the meal that he made you. You saw that meal, okay? And stereotypes, what's a boy thing, what's a girl thing, not helpful, guys. This is not helpful. This is how we have to deconstruct patriarchy. We cannot be assigning boy and girl to foods, to things, period. To words, as we said with the dad. But under this stereotype that we know of, a volcano, chicken wings. Y'all know that should be girly? Like, oh my god, he can't even make a fucking chicken wing? A volcano? Personally, I'm fucking impressed. Presentation 10 out of fucking 10. Okay? 10 out of 10 presentation. Patriarchy is a prison of the mind. Okay? So, all the guys at the table, remember, the mom is the only woman there, by the way. She's the only woman at the table. All the guys at the table start teasing Eddie. All the guys, I will say, except the friends didn't really chime in on it, but they laughed. The dad says, well, we're going to start calling you Chef Eddie. Okay. That one, okay, he's a chef. Chef Boyardee, Chef Eddie. That one, you can get away with that. The brother goes, more like Eddie Crocker. Relax, he's not baking, by the way, so y'all don't even know your fucking references. At least now I know what to get you for your birthday. An apron. Wow, you're so fucking funny. This is when I had to pause and I had to go. That was me punching for the audio listeners. The other brother says, or an easy bake oven. Shut the fuck up. Y'all, like, I can't. Dad goes, you know, he always made little cookies with his Play-Doh. What the fuck is your problem? What the fuck is your problem? This shit angered me. Watching this go down. Okay? The mom finally goes, knock it off. Okay? Now, the thing about moms, right? And the emotional labor that everyone does, but specifically mothers under patriarchy, right? Is protecting their children from their fathers, from the other men in the family, right? When they're doing something that's hurtful to the child. We're trying to protect them at the same time we're not calling them out. But I will say, other than the fact that the mom didn't speak out, which would have loved to see more from her, but it's a Disney Channel movie, we only got so much time. Like, at least she was saying something. I know that's bare minimum in this case, but like at least she was saying something. The brother then goes, Edwina, the daughter you always wanted. Because what? Guys, the way, and when I say this shit is fucking taught. And this is why it starts with you. It starts with you and it can end with you. And we need to work on ending these cycles. We need to work on deconstructing patriarchy. Okay, because everyone upholds it in some way, and we need to fucking look at how that looks like. How the fact they are 14 years old. Well, the kids are, and the brother is probably seniors, college age. But when you think about how young the disdain for these things that are coined girly are just placed with the word disgust, right? They're grossed out by it. They don't want to be associated with it because I said under patriarchy, the worst thing you can be as a man is a girl, right? Because under patriarchy, men hate women, right? And they may not even realize how they've been socialized to hate women. They may not feel like they hate women. But under patriarchy, men are socialized this way. And if you don't look at the language of how that carries on and what you have to do to stop that, well, this is why we are where we are, right? And it's very interesting, especially to see on TikTok of mothers who are raising boys and talking about, how they try to raise them. And also the big thing about, the status quo of it all is that whilst we only can have so much control in our own home, once they go out into the world, you have to know the patriarchy is the status quo. So if you act out of the status quo, people like in this scene, right? Eddie cooked, and that wasn't in the status quo of what a boy should do, and he was fucking bullied. He's ostracized, right? No one actually cares about him in this moment. And so if you do something out of the status quo, you're bullied. So whilst it is not surprising that people, what are the ways that people upkeep the status quo and why that is, right? I think also part of it is so long as you're continuing to upkeep the status quo, right? By holding on to these fucking ideas, right? Now that we're ostracizing other people for acting differently, and what's the underlying reason why? It makes sense that people want to conform back, right? Because to them, it almost feels safer to conform. Now, that's not a reason to stay that way, but I see how it happens, right? But it's like, no fucking duh. These people are all everyone at that table is someone who's supposed to care about Eddie, and he's being bullied by everyone except the mother. Like, guys, no fucking wonder people keep the status quo. No fucking wonder men are miserable. Because patriarchy is a prison. And so long as we don't acknowledge that and figure out what the fuck to do about it, then yeah. Now, how could that scene have gone better if everyone was supportive? Like, wow, Eddie, that first of all, like I said, presentation 10 out of 10. So at the very least, y'all should have said something on that. Like the fact that nobody said, wow, that actually, I don't know if it's going to taste good, but 10 out of 10 presentation wise, Eddie. Like, y'all can't even give him a fucking compliment. Like, he just did that. Mind you, the plate was licked clean. Okay, so clearly you didn't hate it, because if it was garbage, you would have thrown it out and ordered pizza. So, not even just like, wow, didn't expect you to be this good at cooking. That's it. Like that, even just that would have been fine. But no, we gotta fucking bully the kid. And to top it all off, the dad says, "Oh, come on, Eddie. We're just teasing you. It's not like anybody thinks you're gonna trade your baseball mitt for an oven mitt." Oh my gosh. And you know what's interesting about this comment, other than the fact that's crazy that the dad said this, is it once again is really giving us insight into how things that women are coined to do more than men are not valued. They're undervalued and they're not as important as what men do, right? Like this new hobby, like obviously this is the first time Eddie has cooked, right? He found the got a moment to do it and he was inspired by Bobby Flay. He got a moment to cook and he did it, but like this new hobby, right, would never be taken seriously because his dad is projecting like, oh, he's gonna be this baseball player. Mind you, he's 14. Once again, reminder on that. And he can't even be like, you're not. This is not serious, right? Like, hey, like let him fucking cook. God forbid it's at least, can I say, at the very least, a life skill. But unsurprising, didn't see the dad in the kitchen. Didn't see the dad in the kitchen, now did I? You can't even help your wife cut some fucking vegetables? Exactly, exactly. So we flash to Eddie's school, and the kids are walking past the home ec room. And once again, like we're talking about, this absolute disdain, disgust for anything womanly is actually insane because we pass the home ec room, and Eddie is looking into the home ec room like he is watching, he is getting to visit the set of Iron Chef. Like, damn, this is fucking dope. I need to be here. Okay? And his friend DB, that little fucking twerp. That kid, no. Fuck them kids. No, we have beef. Me and DB got beef. We have beef, okay? Absolutely hate that kid. He's like, ugh, oh my god. It's a home ec room. Fucking lax, kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're really laying the groundwork, and this to me is like in a very extreme version of how this shows up. So, it is time to sign up for school electives, and everybody is mobbing to the clipboard wall because, mind you, it's 2003, guys, so we're not doing this on a computer. He hides the clipboard that says home ec and just says, hey guys, sign this, sign this. This is the one we wanted. And they don't realize that they just signed up to take home ec. So they get to home ec class and they're like, why the fuck are we here? I don't, how did you do this? How did you do this? And he's like, I don't know. He somehow swindles his way. So as they're in home ec, they hear about the Million Dollar Cookoff. Name of the movie, Eddie's Million Dollar Cookoff. And they learn that only one other person tends to enter, and that's Bridget. She takes this shit seriously. She is running that home ec room like the military. Okay? And Miss Happy's like, anyone else? Anyone else? Nobody actually gives a fuck. But Eddie does sneak a flyer at some point later in class, and he is actually genuinely interested. And because he knows Bridget takes us seriously, he does go to ask her a few technical questions as he's thinking over, you know, what might be his recipe for the Million Dollar Cook Off. And the thing about DB is anytime he sees Eddie taking home ec too seriously, he is going to give him shit. And the unfortunate thing about the status quo is that Eddie can't just say, "No, I'm actually really excited to be here. I'm actually interested to learn more in cooking," because he's going to be bullied and ostracized. He ends up kind of conforming, and DB kind of picks a fight with him. So Eddie, what does he do? He starts a food fight. He starts a food fight, and we get the big food fight scene where we get the iconic purple goo. Okay, if you don't remember anything about Eddie's Million Dollar Cook-Off, I would bet that you remember the purple goo. Okay, now this purple goo, for some reason, they decided to taste. I have to wonder why would we do that, but they're 14-year-olds. So, nevertheless, they go, damn, this is good. They essentially called it a barbecue sauce, and Eddie begins his investigation to figure out what the fuck fell into this bowl to make this purple goo BBQ. Okay, that is going to be his recipe. So we flash to Eddie at home, and he wants to try to troubleshoot another recipe. Now, here's the thing: the people on TikTok, when speaking about the scene we're making dinner, they said he was just wasting her ingredients, and I was coming to Eddie's defense. Where I cannot come to Eddie's defense, but I also, you know, what was he going to do? Ask because he thought he was going to be bullied if he cooked. Where I can really understand where the TikTok audience was coming from was when we see all the scenes of Eddie trying to make this purple goo BBQ that he failed so many times, right? But she is picking up on the fact that all these ingredients are going missing because, well, Eddie is the one wasting them. So in that case, the TikTok audience won on that one. Not the dinner scene, but I'll give him this one. I'll give him this one. Okay? And Eddie starts getting immediately defensive because he assumes that his mom's going to be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" in the way that everybody else was giving him. So he says, "It's not what you're thinking. It's not some stupid girl thing. Remember what I told you? I mean, it's mainly girls, but guys can enter too. And it comes with this cash prize and this scholarship to this amazing school. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Food Channel, but every other person on there is a guy. So I don't know why you're making such a big deal out of this." Mind you, he says this, his mother was like, literally didn't say anything. She just like said, "Hi, honey," and that was it. So this dialogue is so telling. It's not some stupid girl thing, right? Well, a lot of it is girls. Then he says, comes with a cash prize, scholarship to school. Okay, we can kind of warm everybody up to that. And he mentions, I don't know if you've seen the Food Channel, but every other person on there is a guy. So can we just take a moment? And I just want to say, obviously men cook. Men cook. And can we all just say in unison, let Eddie cook. Let Eddie cook. Let him cook. Let him cook, okay? But what's interesting about what Eddie said is that, clearly, although cooking is framed as a womanly thing, right? I think cooking is really only accepted as a womanly thing, especially when it's unpaid labor. Because when we talk about chefs, right, they're not respected, especially women, right? Every other person on there is a guy. But isn't it interesting that something that is framed as only women do this is dominated by men? Now, the mom was happy for Eddie. She could already kind of tell, like, "I want you to tell your father about this, but I understand why you have the hesitancy to," right? Because look at the fucking dinner reaction. So before we get into the rest of the plot, let's look at some more language from the dad. "Stop playing with your food. You're dancing around like a little girl." For all his tough talk, you know what he does for a living? He's a nurse. Once again, we're talking about men in women fields are also not respected. Is anyone else surprised here? Is anyone else surprised? Because of the patriarchy. And it's actually interesting. I was watching a TikTok and she was talking about the reason that some men don't want to go into women fields, right, is because of patriarchy. And I was just like, well, yeah, no, I learned that. I actually learned that at a young age in Eddie's Million Dollar Cookoff. We actually learned that in Eddie's Million Dollar Cookoff. But I was like, yeah, that's the fucking point. Like, but yes, isn't that crazy? Like, hello? Like, you're mad at this guy for being a nurse?
Man, would I love to beat that coach. For all his tough talk, do you know what he does for a living? He's a nurse.
Hey, and you know what? If you were a nurse, you could have helped your fucking wife when she cut her finger. Can I just say something? I think Eddie's parents should get divorced. That's just my opinion. Leave your husband, leave your husband, leave your husband. Leave your husband, okay? He's not a good he's not a good wife to you. He's not a good husband to you. He's not a good fucking father to his fucking son that he's bullying. Leave your husband. Leave your husband, please. Please. You need to fight your husband. I'm sorry. Yell at that man. Yell at that man for upholding patriarchy. For real. But patriarchy is a prison that men are living in by their own accord. By their own fucking accord. Because what did I say? The thing is, the men do the emotional labor of the patriarchy, right? The worst thing you can be as a man is a girl under patriarchy. And they are constantly working to not be seen as that. They are constantly saying things that consistently demean women, right, in their everyday language, whether they realize it or not, right? Look at how many instances the dad already fucking has. And we're not even halfway through. You're bullying your son. Oh, you have to look a certain way. You have to do a certain thing that fits this mold. Stick to the fucking status quo. is basically what happened at that dinner table. And whilst, yes, the patriarchy is everybody's job is to deconstruct, the point of this movie is that men are doing this to themselves. You are hurting yourself, you are hurting your son in turn. And the thing about the status quo is stick to the status quo, stick to the stuff you know. It is better by far to keep things as they are, don't mess with flow, no, stick to the status quo. That if you don't stick to the status quo, you will be bullied, you will be looked at. But what cost is that? Eddie's not going to be okay by the end of this movie. He's not going to be okay by the end of this movie, and we're going to see the toll that it fucking takes. And it's really unfortunate because in this movie we specifically see the dad not make the connections on why Eddie is afraid of him, which is mind-boggling, unsurprising, but also mind-boggling at the same time because it's like, duh, you bully your son every fucking moment you get. Duh, he's gonna be like, I'm not comfortable around my dad. Hello? Are you paying attention? But when we think about the status quo, and specifically the status quo when it comes to men doing girly things, right? Caring is also, in a way, seen as girly, right? When you think about, jobs that women take, right? And even a nurse, right? Caring for other people, right? Seen as girly. And caring for to enjoy something, right? I feel like there's this big thing too with men who really bog down other people's interests if it doesn't fit into this mold, right? Like football, like sports, in this case baseball, very boy things to do. And Eddie's like, actually, I'm kind of cool with cooking, I kind of want to learn more. And DB's like, that's really weird of you, by the way. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's like, DB, shut the fuck up. It's called, you can't even fucking make macaroni and cheese. So who are you to fucking talk? I really like this movie made me so mad. Between Eddie cares about something and the thing he happens to care about is cooking, right? No one is fucking respecting him. And it's just so sad to watch what happens to this kid. It really is. So Eddie is in home ec. He is announced as one of the two finalists from the school, the other one being the girl Bridget. And everybody actually in his school, although I do want to point out, they have been bullying Eddie as well. His peers are also bullying him. Like I said, constantly being ostracized by everybody, right? Specifically, I feel like this movie focuses on the guys, but we will note his peers were also doing the same. At that time, people were like, wow, Eddie's kind of cool. He got to the finalists of the Million Dollar Cookoff. And it's like, oh, now y'all are cool with Eddie? Now y'all are cool with Eddie? That's crazy. That's crazy. But DB is over there in the fucking corner, like making a face at him. Like, you nasty bitch. Be happy for your friend. Be happy for your friend. What is your problem, DB? And I gotta fucking read this quote for you. Because DB, I am going to fight you in the ring immediately. So meet me outside. It's weird that you'd rather bake cakes than play baseball. It's weird that you'd rather read a cookbook than a comic book. It's actually not fucking weird, DB. You've just been socialized to think that.
It's weird that you'd rather bake cakes than play baseball. It's weird that you'd rather read a cookbook than a comic book.
So Eddie has this really cool fucking opportunity that he got into, right? He just discovered that he wanted to get into the hobby of cooking, and how cool that he was able to make it into the $1 million cook-off, right? He's just getting into this, and although he won't be the best of the best, it's just something that he enjoys and wants to learn more about. And if he's excited about it, the people who care about him should also be excited for him that he has this new passion, this new thing that he's interested in. His friends can't be happy for him. Then he gets home and nobody's happy for him except the mother. So Eddie gets home. The brothers are waving this thing he got from the cook off, which was just a certificate. They rip it in half. Poor Eddie, because he probably would have put that up in his room, probably, because he should be proud of himself. He stepped out of his comfort zone to try something and he got in. And we get to this dialogue between the dad and Eddie. Your home ec teacher called to share in our excitement. You don't look very excited. Oh, really? Because nothing excites me more than having my son lie to me and sneak around behind my back. I'm sorry, what? What I said here is, you bullied him for liking cooking. It's no fucking surprise that no, I wasn't gonna share this with my father because honestly, I don't know how he's gonna react, right? Like, he's clearly afraid of his father. You haven't made this a safe place for your son because you bully him every fucking day. Like, sneak around behind my back. First of all, it's a fucking cook-off. Your son could be doing drugs, and instead of doing coke, he's making purple goop barbecue sauce. So what's your fucking problem? Like, it's like, who set that system up? Who set that system up? You are a man who's upholding patriarchy within yourself, within your community, and within your family. And as I was, saying earlier, how it's interesting to see the mom speak about raising boys, right? And how we can only do so much in our home. And obviously, outside of that, right, we feel the real burdens of the status quo, the real burdens of patriarchy, right? Because what happens if you don't stick to the status quo, right? At the very least, whilst we have no control over what happens outside and our kids' experiences in that realm, right? The home, at the very least, should be a safe space for your children where you can be open, where you don't uphold the status quo, where you don't uphold these unrealistic expectations that are harming your children, that your children can come to you and have conversations with you about this. At your home should be that safe space. But now Eddie doesn't have that at school, doesn't have that at home. Why would he share that information with you? Like, if that is genuinely what you aim to do, if that is your goal as a parent, how are you not doing that? And this is a problem with the dad. He wants to think, oh, we're all chums here, but you actually just bully your son every day, and obviously he isn't going to trust you. Back to the dialogue. I'm sorry that I lied. And this cook-off thing, what's that about? It's nothing. It's just a thing. It's not going to interfere with baseball or school or anything, I promise. Eddie, I thought we had some kind of understanding. Once again, this kid's 14. So the fact that you're like, baseball, 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 like, okay, like, I don't understand. Is he gonna play for the Yankees or something? Like, what do you want from this kid? The mom comes in, like, ooh, what's going on? And Eddie's like, I got in. And she is genuinely so happy for her son. And the dad goes, obviously, this isn't coming as a big surprise to you. Okay, nasty reaction. Maybe because Eddie confided in the mom, and the mom didn't fucking overreact, and the mom was fucking supportive of Eddie. You fucking wish you could be that, but you can't be because you refuse to deconstruct any patriarchy, bitch. And can I just say, I'm stepping in here to say just a fun fact. The guy who plays Eddie's dad in Eddie's Million Dollar Cookoff is Fulton, the manager from High School Musical 2. So just a fun note there. And personally, I need to fight both of them. No, not really. I mean, his recipe was good. Eddie, is there some reason you told your mother and not me? Hmm. Why is that? Why is that? We just went over that, but like, guys, why is that? Because you're a fucking bully. Because you're bully. You can't even be happy. Because what should have happened in this case is, Eddie, you got to the cook-off? Why didn't you tell me more about this? I didn't even know you were doing this. Great job. I hope next time that you'll feel comfortable coming to me with this. Instead, he got, you're sneaking around my back? No, you unsupportive little bitch. I'm sorry, somebody needs to fucking say it. I'm mad at Eddie's dad. I'm mad at Eddie's dad. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. I guess I was just afraid. I don't know what I was afraid of. The mom, I think we all know what you were afraid of. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, fine. Clearly, I have no idea what's going on here anymore. You think you can handle it? More power to ya. You little fucking twat. You little fucking twat. Nasty, 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 nasty.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I guess I was just afraid. I don't know what I was afraid of.
I think we all know what you were afraid of.
Okay, fine. Clearly, I have no idea what's going on around here anymore. You think you can handle it? More power to you.
Because why would your son come to you? Once again, Eddie entered a cook-off. He wasn't doing drugs. I just, like, I'm really not understanding the overreaction here. Like I said, you could have just been like, oh my god, you didn't even tell me you were entering a cook-off. Why didn't you tell me that? Great job. I saw you got in. The teacher just called me. I didn't even know. Congratulate. But no, we have to stick to the status quo, don't we? Don't we? He said stick to the fucking status quo. And then wonders why his son doesn't want to talk to him. And this is what I say. Me and Eddie's dad, we're getting to the ring. Put me in the fucking ring with Eddie's dad now. And like I said, with all this, it is helpful to have supportive people. So I'm very thankful that Eddie at least had his mother, his home ec teacher, Mrs. Hadley, and there was one girl, Hannah, on the team. She's one of two girls on the team. And she also tried to help Eddie out. There was one time at practice where he had brought his purple goo, and one of the kids had gotten into it and had it all over their face. And the dad, of course, knowing that Eddie was like sneaking around cooking, was like, "Whoa, what's that?" And Hannah claimed it as her own. So, like, at least those women had Eddie's back, right? But the thing is, though, that's not enough. Like, the emotional labor that women do for men, and I'm talking about not just speaking about, the bad parts of it, but like we are just doing what we can to protect Eddie, right? The men, the kids, the boys that we want to protect are kids like Eddie. Like Eddie needs to be protected in this case, right? And the fact that we have to go above and beyond to do that because there are other men who just can't be fucking normal people and be supportive of these cool things that these, kids are into is so fucking rude. And like that's great that we have that, but the big problem is when we see with Eddie before he breaks down is that it's not enough. When you have everybody saying stick to the status quo, stick to the status quo, even if you have a few people on your side, when outside of that, everyone is screaming, stick to the status quo, stick to the status quo. That obviously is gonna take its fucking toll, and that's gonna be internalized and make everything 10 times worse. So later on, Eddie finds out that the cook off and the big baseball game of the season are at the same time. And it's gonna be like, okay, what are we gonna do, right? That's why it's kind of like High School Musical, right? Because Troy had to choose between the audition and the game. But Eddie is really debating because he knows what he wants to do, but he also is going to conform ultimately. So we flash to the home ec room where Eddie and Bridget are getting help from Miss Hadley to prepare for the cook off. And we get this absolutely devastating dialogue from Eddie that really just shows where he was at that moment. I hate that I have no friends. I hate that my dad can barely look at me. I hate that my brothers tease me. I hate that everybody makes fun of me because of this stupid cook off.
I hate not having any friends. I hate that my dad can barely look at me. I hate that my brothers tease me. I hate that everybody makes fun of me because of this stupid cook-off. And more than anything, I hate chopping up vegetables.
Oh my gosh, my heart fucking broke for this kid. Because this is what fucking happens. So long as everybody is forcing everybody to stick to the status quo, to conform to these ridiculous standards that patriarchy has set for this kid, like, this is the real life harm. Like, even if you have a few people by your side, like, and the rest of society is like, ah ha ha, you're a loser, you're a boy and you cook. Like, obviously, that shit is gonna be sad because we're just bogging down this poor boy who wants to do something that he should be allowed to do. And now he's being unsupported by everybody who's supposed to care about him. Obviously he's going to be fucking depressed. And one thing I will note that's very interesting, in comparison to Eddie's Million Dollar Cook-Off and High School Musical, is that I think this movie specifically, unlike High School Musical, does a very good job at showing just how distressful that it can be on specifically Eddie, right? That all of this stuff culminates and adds up to this deep sadness, right? That he's 14 years old, right? So if this was never made right, that would only grow and grow and grow, right? And at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that men can't realize how the patriarchy harms them. And it's no surprise that it's upkept in the way that although patriarchy, and we see this in this scene, right, is so incredibly harmful, right? Men still benefit from it and refuse to let go of that power, right? So that's why these things are kept being upheld. Was that even a sentence? Because they don't want to let go of that power and what they think they benefit from, or they do benefit from. But deep down, there's a little boy like Eddie in there who's like, I had something I wanted to do, and it was shut down by everybody, and now I'm in pain. Like, The tears in Eddie's eyes, it was so fucking heartbreaking to watch this scene. Miss Hadley was very supportive, but unfortunately, she was not able to obviously convince Eddie to do something else. You may hate all those things now, Eddie Ogden. She always calls him by first and last. But I'm guessing that deep down, you love cooking even more, so don't talk yourself out of doing this. She was so supportive. Like, I really got to give claps to her. Like, sometimes it is just one person that can help you, but obviously in this case, like, Eddie was just very bogged down, and it made a lot of sense that he was really hurting, and that, one supportive teacher wasn't going to offset the rest of the shit that he was going through. And Eddie says he is just going to go to the game where he belongs, right? He is now forced, because of this pain, to conform back to what everybody else wants him to do. So the boys have another baseball practice, and Mrs. Hadley actually pops by because it is right before the big game. She says to Eddie, Eddie, you know why I'm here. You need to be at that cook-off tomorrow. And the dad says, he's not gonna let his team down. I need the dad to stop interjecting. And also, it's kind of sweet that she felt so, like, she is rooting for this fucking kid. She goes, there's something in you, there's a spark within your eyes, okay, that you need to really look into. And you can do it. And you can do it, and I believe in you. That she was saying that she had to go over to his house just to tell Eddie. He's not going to let his team down, Mrs. Hadley. No, apparently just himself. Right? Because at the end of the day, whilst these are kids and he doesn't realize that this is the reason why he's having this issue, is like not leaning into what we enjoy, our authenticity, is harmful to ourselves. Like, imagine, whilst like we do live in a patriarchal world, like, imagine what doors could open by being your authentic self. And obviously that can be hard because everybody wants you to stick to the status quo, but there is a world out there for Eddie, even where even if he's not going to be the next Bobby Flay, like, he can just enjoy cooking for enjoying cooking. Because hey, guess what? You're actually allowed to do that. Now, this part of the scene actually kind of got me. Eddie says, you've got Bridget, she'll be great. Yes, Bridget, she can whisk till the cows come home, but she has no passion. She has no instinct. But you, Eddie Ogden, once again, full name, you're a natural. It's what you are born to do. She is a bit dramatic, I will lie. Also, why'd she throw shade to Bridget like that? I mean, whilst Bridget does look like one of those kids who, like, just needs to be the best of the best, and maybe she has some more work to do too, like, she was really showing? She was really throwing shade at her in a way. Um, Now, is Eddie Ogden the next Bobby Flay? I'm getting the vibes that Mrs. Hadley does think so. Those are the vibes. Those are the vibes.
You, Eddie Ogden, you're a natural. It's what you were born to do.
I just realized I'm calling her Mrs. Hadley, but I think she's a Miss Hadley. She also, guys, can we just talk about this for a second? She does make a reference about how she has cats. And that's the thing. Oh, lonely woman with cats. They had to put it in there. They had to put it in there. Nevertheless, just thought I'd mention that. So we get right to the game, and Eddie hasn't shown up yet, so people are still debating, is he coming? Is he not? We don't know. We see the dad talking to the team, and this is what goes on. The Cougar third baseman, he can catch anything, but he throws like a real girl. He can barely get it to first. I throw like a girl. What? I throw like a girl? Because I am a girl. Remember, I told you there are two girls on the baseball team, okay? And this is not Hannah, but the other girl. I throw like a girl because I am a girl. Hannah throws like a girl too. She's just good at it. Period. Yes. These kids are about to give this man a taste of his own fucking medicine. Okay, really? We're rounding off this experience here. Kimberly, that's not what I meant. Why is it a compliment every time you say, I run like a boy, but an insult when you say, I run like a girl? Can I just be a good runner or a bad runner? You are a bad runner. Now, one of the kids said that. The coach didn't say that. I know that. Everyone knows that. But it's not because I'm a girl. Yes! This scene, write that down, write that down, write that down. It's because I'm an uncoordinated dork. Exactly, guys. Like, we're really laying out why this was a problem. We're laying out why this was a problem in the most easy way for kids to understand. Like, y'all are not fucking getting it. This is what I'm talking about. Language is actually very important. And it is, I would say, one of the most passive ways that the status quo is upheld, especially with patriarchy, right? Saying these terms, thinking, oh, that, but they didn't mean it like that. Or, no, that's not what I mean. That's not the point. You're carrying on this language. So change your fucking language. So the dad goes, okay, if there's not any more unresolved issues, my dad's a nurse. What? You made fun of the Eagles coach for being a nurse? But my dad's a nurse. Remember when I said that earlier? Remember when I said that earlier? Oliver, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything. Exactly. Because you don't think your language means anything, but it actually fucking does. And you actually are fucking responsible for that. Did you know that? Did you know that you're responsible for the language that comes out of your mouth? And you don't have to believe that it has deeper meaning, but it does. But it does. And so long as you keep on carrying out that fucking patriarchy, the status quo of it all, through your language, how is anything going to change? Say what you mean what you say. If you didn't mean it like that, then why'd you say it like that? He saves people's lives. Exactly. Exactly. And that man couldn't even help his wife when she cut her finger. My father's a florist. Exactly. Come on, kids. And why do I have to be one of the guys? Exactly, because he is constantly calling Hannah one of the guys. It's like you could just be you and it'd be cool. Hannah is Hannah, and that's fine. And she's on the baseball team. Can I just be part of the team? Exactly. Exactly. So we flash forward to the game. Eddie did show up, and Frankie, who is played by Eddie from That's So Raven, Eddie, they both played Eddie's, has got a little TV in the dugout and he is watching the cook-off go down. And Bobby Flay, for reference, is hosting the cook-off. So they are watching this live. And DP says, I don't think your cook-off play-by-plays are helping. Frankie says, well, I don't think making him choose between cooking and having friends is helping either. Eddie's here because he wants to be here. Shut up, DB. Shut up, DB. No one wants to hear what you have to say. Because he wants to beat the Eagles. DB, shush. Frankie, is that why you're here? No, I'm here because I love baseball. Hannah says, yeah, kinda like how Eddie loves cooking, huh? Exactly, exactly. DB, it's not clicking for him. It's not clicking for him. So DB realizes that Hannah's got a point. And what happens now, to me, doesn't make any sense, but remember, we still live under a patriarchal society here. We haven't deconstructed all of that in this movie. I just realized what happens. The way DB goes about it and the way his dad goes about it are actually the same, and we'll connect that soon. DB goes up to Eddie and goes like, "You think we need you here? We think we need the star player, Eddie, to be here? We can take care of it ourselves." So like, it's not even just like in a way where he can go to his friend and be like, "Listen, I know I've been giving you a hard time. I didn't think about it like this. We got it here. Why don't you go to the cook-off?" He kind of like bullies Eddie and is like, "You think we need you, star player? You think we need you? We got it here. You get out of here. Scram." Like, I got what he was doing, but once again, like, we kind of could have just like apologized and said, like, "Listen, we got it here. Go to the cook-off, man. Good luck." Like, we could have done it differently, but they're like 14. They're like 14. So, I still believe that, but we understand why we are where we are in this movie. So Eddie's mom drives him to the cook-off, and the dad's like, "What the hell?" And there's one scene where Hannah, we have mentioned her briefly, and she was the one who was kind of helping kind of save Eddie's butt when he brought the purple goo into the dugout. And the thing about Hannah is she is like coined as like a tomboy, and Hannah's mom was a cheerleader when she was in high school, so she had always assumed that she would just not be supportive of Hannah joining the baseball team. So Hannah lied to her mom and said she was a cheerleader. And so when Hannah's mom shows up to the game, she's surprised. She's like, "Oh shit, I gotta put on my cheerleader outfit and then pretend I'm cheering," which there are not cheers for baseball that I know of. Who started that? And why is there cheerleaders for some but not all? Because isn't there cheerleaders for basketball, just basketball and football? Like, why not other ones? I don't know the history on that. We're not getting into that today. But one thing is, Eddie's dad is watching this conversation between Hannah and her mom because Hannah's mom comes over and Hannah's like, "Ah, shit, you know, My cover's blown. But I believe Hannah's mom brought like a mitt of hers. And so like clearly Hannah's mom really knew that she was on the baseball team. And there is this really nice dialogue that they share and Hannah's mom says like, I'm only sorry that you couldn't feel like you could tell me that. Which is what I fucking said that Eddie's dad should have been acting like, right? She is laying down the groundwork for how parents should act, as I've been fucking saying. If you see that your child has hid something from you because they like it and it doesn't fit what they think that you would approve of, and you find out about that, your reaction should be supportive and be like, I am so sorry that you felt like you couldn't share that with me. Like, I'm going to do something about that and I'm going to be supportive. Like Hannah's mom was, right? Because when Hannah's mom realized that, she goes, I need to fucking show up for my daughter, right? And I need to tell her, not only do I know, like, I support you in whatever you want to do. Like, so it took this, witnessing this, for Eddie's dad to be like, oh, okay, I actually do have to go to the cook off and watch my son. And I'll go and help my son out. But how does he do it? Instead of just being like, mind you, he has another coach. There's another coach. I don't know if like the co-coaches, whatever. There's another guy there. So it's like if there's one guy missing, it's really not the end of the world. He could just been like, I'm gonna go out and support Eddie. You got this. You hold it down. Instead, he went to the umpire and just started like kicking the sand, like making a whole hubbubaloo for nothing so that he would get kicked out of the game. Kicked out of the game. Mind you, he could have just left. He could have just left. There's another coach here, by the way. He had to make a big hubbubaloo to get kicked out of the game to go see his son. Like I said, mind you, he could have just left and done that. So this is what I'm saying. It's like both of the boys in this instance in which they realize that they're wrong are both acting out in like really aggressive, unnecessary ways when they could have just said, listen, I gotta go, or listen, I'm sorry. Like, there's no need for that. Like, you don't actually need to aggressively leave. You don't need to do something to compromise yourself and then get kicked out. Like, what, you were only gonna go if you could get kicked out? I'm sorry, I'm not really seeing that logic there. All of this is completely unnecessary. So Eddie's dad comes in and he starts helping Eddie, who was obviously late to the cook-off, so he has much less time. Now he has Eddie's dad, and they are trying to finalize the dish because they have specific dishes that they're supposed to make. So here's the thing: Eddie did lose the cook-off. He did lose the cook-off, okay? But he did something for himself, and that is the beauty of it all. And that is the beauty of it all. So I do want to take a moment and say, I actually think it's really important that Eddie lost the cook-off. And this is not to say that Eddie doesn't have the potential to be better. Obviously, Mrs. Hadley was like, Bridget, I'm sorry, she just doesn't have passion like you do, Eddie Ogden, who's going to be the next Bobby Flay. But it was important for Eddie not to win because A, you're just supposed to do it for the love of the game, for the love of the game, okay? And also, he just got into this. Bridget, maybe she doesn't have the passion, but she's got more technical skills, right? And Bridget actually was the winner of the $1 Million Cookoff. So I think that was actually a really good lesson. Like, you're just, for the love of the game, you're just supposed to do it. And also, if you don't win, it's not a big deal. Like, it's just, you play to win, you don't win to play. You know what I'm saying? Does that even make any sense? I said that. I haven't made a correlation with it yet. But I think it's also important because I do think boys specifically, like, there is kind of this idea, like, once you get into it, you have to be the best of the best and immediately. And I feel like there is this kind of, like, you have to be a winner mindset with boys. So I also think it is good that we're also learning that lesson here in a little way because you can just go and try, and that's the point. And that's the point. You don't have to be the best at it. And maybe next time you will be. But that's not the point. The point is you're supposed to try and do it. Like, the goal isn't really to win, it's just to do something you like. And then if you do, that's an amazing accomplishment. I also do think because in the beginning of the movie, I believe when he maybe got announced that he was going to be in the cook off and people were like asking him if he was nervous, he was like, I make Eddie dogs. How hard could it be? Now, what was an Eddie dog? We open up Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off with Eddie's dog being made. And Eddie dogs are just hot dogs that are already made by somebody else. And he just dramatically puts the condiments on the hot dog. Is that cooking? No. He may know how to dress a hot dog, but that's not cooking. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really saying it there. Like, our idea of what that is, a little skewed. I'm just saying. I'm noting it. I'm noting it. So the dad finally comes around, obviously, and he says this big old speech to his kid. This wasn't about you winning. It was about doing something that you loved. And you know, you're really good at it. Okay, finally we're admitting something. You're a kid with a lot of gifts and a lifetime to sort them out. Finally we're acknowledging something. So cook, play baseball, take up lawn mowing. That's something else I don't understand. And remember, win or lose, I'm always on your team. Why did it take so fucking long?
Cook, play baseball, take up lawn bowling. That's something else I don't understand. Just remember, win or lose, I'm always on your team.
Can we talk about cook, play baseball, take up lawn mowing? Can I just say it's actually very interesting about the dad when we think of like stereotypical dad things under patriarchy. I feel like lawn mowing is one thing they know how to do. So earlier I had said it's interesting, and I think there's an insecurity here because the dad doesn't meet these patriarchal standards of like what a dad does, what does masculinity look like. So I think he's insecure about that. I just thought that it's funny and also really random that he brought up lawn mowing. Like, okay, now the next one is gonna be Eddie's lawn mowing business, apparently. Because what? What are we talking about, bro? Like, I just like, huh? But I just thought it's funny that he brought that up. That he goes, "That's something else I don't understand." I don't know what is to understand about lawn mowing. Like, you can learn. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to open your own lawn mowing business. I just think like you could learn how to function a lawnmower. Does that mean the mom does the lawn mowing in the home, do y'all think? I don't know. I know this is really irrelevant to the overall story, but I just thought it's something interesting. But yeah, that's one of the things of patriarchy is a prison as well. Like when you don't fit this mold, you become insecure and you become so on top of, I don't fit this mold. I know I don't fit this mold. And so I have to look like I do. And becoming so obsessed with not looking womanly, right? Because that would mean you're not masculine enough. What patriarchy tells you it's supposed to be, right? Like then you're insecure and you project onto other people and hurt other people, like what Eddie's dad did this entire movie. There was also another scene in the movie where I think the kids like made a score. Maybe it was like the final game before the dad left, and the two coaches hug, and then they awkwardly go like, "Oh, we're hugging," and then they have to like awkwardly let go. It's like you can hug your friends, guys. You can hug your friends. That's okay. That's okay. It doesn't mean you're gay. You can hug your friends. God forbid you share an embrace with someone. God forbid! Guys, God forbid. Like, you are under spells, people. You are under spells. Let go of the patriarchy. But they won't because they still benefit from it, even if they clearly are being harmed by it, right? And that's the thing. The benefits outweigh the harm to them. And also, they have been taught to desensitize. Sorry, to be desensitized. They were taught to be desensitized and to humanize women to the fact that, the fact that it doesn't even phase them that they're using this dehumanizing language towards women, so passive in their language. And even that is hurting their sons because we're pushing the status quo patriarchy onto them. I can't, guys. Like, patriarchy is a prison and men need to do something about that. They do. Like, you can't even really be yourself and embrace yourself because you're too focused on what do I have to look like to anyone else. And what's really interesting about this movie is in this particular case, none of the women cared, right? The main three women in this movie cared about the men looking masculine. You know what I mean? In this case. So it's like, who are we doing it for? To impress other men. And for what? Like, because you don't even feel good about yourself. And y'all are doing that to each other. And if you actually, like he claimed he wanted to be, have a good relationship with your son, yet you bully him constantly, you haven't done that. If you want to have a good relationship with your people, but that's how you act, obviously they're not going to trust you. You know what I mean? So like it really does like I said, although it's unsurprising, it is annoying. and just like I'm flabbergasted about the connections that we're not putting two and two together on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, duh, what does it look like to actually make that change if that is your goal in that relationship, right? Like, you actually have to be active on top of yourself in the ways that you do that to other people, right? And calling out those around you too, which is another reason that people don't want to deconstruct patriarchy, right? Because it's one thing to say, to maybe have those values and maybe agree like with what I'm saying on that, right? But when it comes to actually living in those values, what does it look like to do that within yourself and also with everybody else, right? Saying, hey, it's cool. Let Eddie cook. Let Zeke bake. It's okay, right? And everybody else is like, no. Don't let him do that. Don't let him cook. Stick to the status quo. No. No. Do not stick to the status quo. Don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. But this movie really shows how, at the end of the day, it really is the men who need to step up and actually do something about the patriarchy. Because if you're upholding it with other men and you're too afraid to call it out within yourself, within your groups, how is anything gonna ever change? You know what I'm saying? Nothing happens if nothing happens. And there's this great quote by Mickey Kendall in the book Hood Feminism. And I thought it's something that really just can apply to anything. But we are all human, all flawed in our own ways, and perhaps most important, none of us are immune to the environment that surrounds us. We are part of a society that we are fighting to change, and we cannot absolve ourselves of our role in it. That is a fantastic quote because, hello, first you have to look within, and then you have to be brave enough to say, no, we're not doing this anymore, right? And that is, I think, what happens with a lot of people is even if they have these ideas, right? It's this weird kind of, I don't even know what I would call it. Men benefit from patriarchy, right? And it would be too much for them to let go of that, and they wouldn't want to. And they wouldn't want to do the work of that, quite honestly, either. So it's obviously being upheld. But at the same time, we see men who want to get with more progressive women and want the benefits of that, right? Because there was a big thing going on TikTok that I thought people made a great point, right? Why do conservative men, right, who would be everyone subscribes to patriarchy in some way, whether they realize it or not, but are more so under that guise, right? Why would they want to be with more progressive women? I said, because the progressive women are not expecting, they're not holding you to this standard that you're holding other men in, right? So it's great to let go and not feel the pressure of, I have to be a certain way, I have to act a certain way, right? And also, there is like the really funky stuff with some people just really like fucking with people. At the end of the day, like, oh, make a progressive woman suffer. You know what I mean? Some people like that. Some people like that. That is a part of it too. But you know what I mean? Like, there's a shield that you can kind of let down when no one has expectations of you. And this was in High School Musical too. When Gabriella says to Troy, singing with you was like the first day of kindergarten. Like, you just met each other. You don't have expectations of each other. I also think, when you're young, before you're socialized to have all these patriarchal ideas, like, you're not thinking boys shouldn't sing, right? So like, them being able to be an authentic part of themselves and explore that together was so beautiful in High School Musical, right? We didn't have the pressure to stick to the status quo in that moment, and that is really the thing with it, right? And like I said, when it comes to Eddie and his family, if that's we can't control what happens outside of the home, but let the home be the safe place at least. But you're not doing anything to make it a safe space for your kid. And this poor kid suffered. Like I said, I wanted to beat up DB. I wanted to beat up Eddie's dad. Like, get me in the ring with both of them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Kicking them to the ground. Kicking them to the ground. Okay? I fucking hate them. I can't stand those characters. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And granted, his team came, they had won the game, and they came and were supportive of Eddie. But it's like, I can't believe we put this kid through it. And it really broke my heart. It really broke my heart. And I hope that men will watch Eddie's Million Dollar Cook-Off and realize what issues they need to cut the shit on. For real. And the last thing I'm going to say about Eddie's Million Dollar Cook-Off, actually two things. Everybody needs to be looking about how we can be deconstructing patriarchy in our lives, how we stick to the status quo, how we've enforced others to stick to the status quo. Men need to get their shit together. I'm sorry, get it to fucking together. I don't care how scary it is, you need to fucking do it. You need to fucking do it because people are suffering. People are suffering. Stop trying to get power. Just do the fucking right thing. I don't know why that's so fucking hard to understand, okay? Second of all, got a comment on one of my Eddie's Million Dollar Cookoff TikToks that apparently, guys, there is a theory that Bobby Flay is Eddie's real father because he looked more like Bobby Flay than the dad in the movie, which I just thought was funny. I just thought was funny and had to mention it. Because honestly, with a dad like that, with a dad like Eddie's dad, his dad should be Bobby Flay instead, quite honestly. Okay? You should be. And honestly, I'd watch that movie. That would be amazing. Oh my god. That would mean the mom would have had to have an affair with Bobby Flay. Okay. I guess we couldn't put that in a Disney movie, huh? Would have been interesting though.